Now, having said about the reliability, the next issue is the validity. Validity refers to the extent to which the test measures what is intended or designed to measure. A test may have different validities depending on the specific purposes for which it is designed for, such as the target population and the methods of determining the validity. Let's give you an example. Look at this. Do one thing. Please single out one picture you like. Okay? 1, 2, 3. You've done your selection, right? Okay, next. Here are the answers. For picture 1, it means introspective. Picture 2, it means dependent. For 3, it's dynamic. For 4, it's down to earth. For 5, it's professional. For 6, it's peaceful. For 7, it's carefree. For 8, it's romantic. For 9, it's analytical. Do you think this tells what you are? Oh, this is a test of what type of people you are. Do you think the picture is reflecting what you are? You get confused. Why? Well, this is exactly the question about the validity of the assessment. Why is giving this result? Well, so it's not valid. You can see. So this is why there was a lot of tests that you see on different internet websites that give you online, and it was not standardized. And you easily trust it is true, but actually it's a joke. Now, validity needs to have criterion or empirical validity. That is done by correlating scores of the test with scores of some external criterion and the scores of the pilot aptitude test and the performance in pilot training. So it's a pretty hard process. Just give you an example. And here is this is like a bunch of school students. Okay, you can see the low validity and high validity. This is the high validity. You can see for Anna and his scores on the pilot aptitude test and his scores on criterion measure performance in pilot training are very much similar. It did not vary. The first time you may get, if you say the line on the left, maybe 1 to 100. The first time you got maybe 75. Next time you got 85. Okay, and for Ken, first time you got 65. Second time he got 75. And for Marcus, the first time he got like maybe 60. Second time he got 60. For Rick, first time he got 50. Second time he got 55. So in other words, the two results are quite compatible. Two sets of results are quite compatible. So that's the criterion-based validity. It's somewhat like a test retest reliability. Now this is low validity. Okay, the scores on the pilot aptitude test and the scores on the criterion measure. Okay, and you can see. And for Anna was okay, but look at Rick. Boy, first time he got 45 maybe. Second time he got 95. Okay, look at it, Laurie. First time he got 25. The second time he got 75. There's huge variations. There must be something that is not consistent. Now, this is about validity. All I can tell you is that there are 4 kinds of validity. There is the content validity, which is done by analyzing the test content. Second is the concurrent validity. This is done by correlating test scores with scores on the criterion measure obtained at the same time. And third is the predictive validity, which is done by correlating test scores with scores on the criterion measure at a later time. And the fourth is the concurrent validity, which is done by a systematic study of the adequacy of the test items and appraising a specified psychological construct. So if you want to develop your scale, your measure, your questionnaire, and people are going to ask you questions about validity, and they're gonna ask about this full kind of validity you have to report. So information on construct validity of a test as a measure of a particular psychological construct can be obtained in a variety of ways. It is helpful by analyzing correlation between test and measure of the same and similar construct obtained by the same or different method, such as measures of different constructs obtained by the same or different methods. Now let's have a look at this. This is called concurrent validity. You can see all the numbers, or simply you look at all the right blocks. Okay, this is our big five. You can see extroversion, agreement, agreeableness. This is about a big five. Extroversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, neuroticism, open-mindedness. And you can see, for instance, extroversion, it is higher correlated with affiliation, with exposition, and with play. So extrovert people would naturally want to play around and exhibit himself around and socialize, affiliate around, okay? And for agreeableness, it is highly correlated with abasement, that means humble, humility, and it's negative correlated with aggression. That means an agreeable person is not aggressive, after all. Agreeable person is not going to be aggressive. That's for sure. And it's negative correlated with dominance. Of course, if you're agreeable, you're not going to be dominant. And agreeableness is correlated with highly correlated with nurturance. Now, let's just do another quick exercise. The Rosenberg self-esteem scale, you've got it, all right? Now you report your scale. It could be 25, it could be 35, whatever the score is. Okay, it's good that you participate in this exercise. But here is another one. This is called the general self-efficacy scale. It also has 10 items. It's also rated by 1 to 4. Okay, 1 stands for not at all true, 2 stands for barely true, 3 stands for moderately true, and 4 stands for exactly true. And there are 10 sentences, okay? And you are going to complete this. And please do it now. Thank you, you've done it. Now, you want to know what does it mean? Well, before you report your score, let's see what the general self-efficacy scale is. The general self-efficacy scale was developed by German psychologist Schwarzer. It is one of the commonly used scales for measuring self-efficacy. It has 10 items to measure the level of self-efficacy when encountering difficulties. The scale is easy to understand and easy to administer, and it has high reliability and validity scores. The scoring method, just like a Rosenberg self-efficacy scale, has the respondent answers questions on the 4-point Likert scale. The lowest score is 10, the highest score is 40. Of my own uses of the scale in the past, the results show that if a person's score is lower than 18, his or her self-efficacy tends to be low when encountering difficulties. And if his or her score is higher than 26, then his or her self-efficacy tends to be very high. Once again, males generally score higher than the females. American and European students generally score higher than Southeast Asian students. Now, what is your score? You tell me you're 25. Good. Close to high. You're 16? Wow, you need to improve your self-efficacy. Okay, that probably has been a problem for you. Now, all I can tell you is that the score can be applied to people of any age, and also because its simplicity and easy, convenient calculation is being widely used among students as well. Now, you remember this. And I myself participated in the validation of the scale for the Chinese together with Professor Schwarzer. It was many years ago. Now, having said all of this, let's look at this. On the left, you see the self-esteem scale. On the left, you see the self-efficacy scale. Okay. Now you can see the mean score for the self-esteem scale, and you can see the mean score for the self-esteem scale is 20.5. This 300 participants, whereas the mean score for the self-efficacy scale is 30.7. So, because self-efficacy is very much similar to self-esteem, it is to an extent you trust yourself. Self-esteem is to an extent you love yourself, you like yourself, you accept yourself, whereas self-efficacy is the extent you trust yourself, you believe in yourself. So they are very similar. So if you score high on self-esteem scale, you should also score high on self-efficacy scale. So there's a correlation between the two similar tests, and this is called the concurrent validity. So you can validate, so people can validate the self-efficacy scale by using the self-esteem scale. And this is exactly what I did. And the concurrent validity score is 0.83 of the two personality tests. And this is called concurrent validity. Now you understand. Okay, there are two different concepts. Each time I talk about this, I feel really tired of explaining because it's not something exciting, but at least you've learned about this. Particularly, you look at a two test, right? You test your own test on self-esteem and self-efficacy. You get it right. If you get self-esteem for 24, self-efficacy for 26, that's pretty close. If you get a self-esteem for 31, you get a self-efficacy for 29, that's pretty close. If you get a self-esteem for 18, for self-efficacy for 23, well, that's also reasonably close. So that's called how they would go together, rhyme together. So that's the concurrent validity. This is how a new scale could be established by using an old as a manner. So you know it. Now, another thing we want to know about standardization is the standardization of the procedures. Okay, that means all respondents get the same instructions, the same questions, and the same time limits. So standardized, particularly for exams, you get the same time, you get the same set of questions, you also get the same time limit. Everybody's just get the same condition. That's a standardization of the procedures. There's also standardization of the scoring. That includes the development of the test norms that provide information about where a score on a particular test ranks in relation to other scores of the test. So norms means the information and distribution of scores of a larger scale. So we all want a norm. You know norm? You check your blood pressure, or you can check your blood sugar. If you check your blood pressure, if the lower blood pressure is lower than 80, higher blood pressure is higher than 120, your blood pressure is in the problem zone. But if it's between 80 for low blood pressure and 120 for high blood pressure, you are within the normal and the healthy range. That's called a norm. Norm. And this is the norm. You can see very few people get very low scores, very few people get very high scores. Most people sit around a point. The midpoint is about 28.9. That's called a norm. So, to conclude, any standardized test need to have standardized directions of administration and scoring that should be followed clearly and closely. And a standardization involves administering the test to a large sample of people selected as representative of the target population or persons for whom the test is intended for. Whether it was for a health test, one health test like symptom checklist 90, SCL 90, okay, or MMPI, or personality test, Big 5, okay, or whatever test that we have introduced. And now you know this is important for you to keep in mind doing personality tests. That's only for standardized objective test.